Hi, hello, and welcome to the Mettā Interview. I am so excited for this brand new episode. Today I'm going to be joined by Paulette Perhach. Paulette is a regular contributor to the New York Times, and her work has appeared, among other places, in Vox, Elle, The Washington Post, Cosmopolitan, Glamour, Marie Claire, etc., etc. She's the author of 2 multi-million reader viral essays. That's quite something. She published a book in 2018 with Penguin Random House called Welcome to the Writer's Life. She blogs about what it's like to write, to be a writer, to be a writing coach at welcometotherwriterslife.com. She also leads guided meditations and writing sessions through a wonderful group, which is how I met her, called A Very Important Meeting, which, funnily enough, becomes abbreviated as AVIM, and my initials are AVM. So I feel like there's a kind of connection there. Paulette, most importantly, is a writing coach. She supports writers of all kinds figure out how to make a life and a career out of writing. We met in 2020, I want to say, or was it 2021? As I had met her co-founder, April Davila, who was then running a very important meeting online. I had the pleasure to join them first as a member of the community. I joined their online sessions as I was trying to develop my own writing practice. And then I started to support her, sometimes subbing when she's not available. We had the pleasure to meet in person a couple of years ago in Barcelona, Spain, of all places. And she has been a guest on my long-form interview podcast, Out of the Clouds. Today, I'm excited to talk to Paulette about her big question, and I'm delighted to be introducing her to you. So without further ado, let's get started. Paulette, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome to the Mettā Interview.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's really exciting because I've had you on Out of the Clouds. I almost slipped and used the wrong podcast title. Hopefully this is going to be a slightly different format and a fresh interview for anyone who's already met you and heard about you on Out of the Clouds. So before we dive into the broader topic and the question that feels alive for you at the moment, I'd love to ask you to get started by telling me what feels exciting or making you smile at the moment.
My novel is really kind of almost done, getting really, really close to done. It's in that stage where I'm like, oh no, this is going to live, right? It is a novel at this point, and now I just need to make it a little bit better of a novel, and it's like almost done. So, and that is more than 10 years of back and forth and writing and rewriting and starting over. And so that's really exciting. And same thing with my software for writers, the Writers Mission Control Center. We have a 3rd version coming out. And this is the first one that feels like it is now a piece of software, and like a really, not in a way where I'm like, sorry, we're just like, I'm just bootstrapping it, whatever. So, someone told me, if you're going to do a lot of things, it's going to take you a long time to get them done. If you focus and do one thing at a time, you'll get it done faster. I'm 43. This is kind of the culmination of doing a lot of things at once for a long time. It's like, now I've been alive a long time, but those things are actually like becoming realities. So that's been my path.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. I actually haven't yet tried the Writers Mission Control Center, but I can't wait. Yay.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So I've already recorded a short introduction, but would you kindly introduce yourself in your own words so that our listeners can get a feel for who you are and for what you do?
Yeah, I am a writer and writing coach and founder of the Writers Mission Control Center software, which is basically the way that I handle everything around being a writer and keeping me going. I'm a late diagnosed ADHD writer, so I've only known since I was 38 that I have ADHD. And so really that's been a journey, as the kids say, to create the structures around that, which is a lot of the reason that I teach organization and processes to writers, which is not like the most fun topic, but I find that it leads to the most fun, right? You can't sit down and immerse yourself in your writing without knowing, like, yes, this time is safe. So I teach people how to have the productive writing life they want that is actually completing things. I've had more than 100 pieces published. I'm a regular in the New York Times. I've been in Elle, Marie Claire, Cosmo. And I look back and I'm like, I made it happen despite being diagnosed with ADHD. So I can help other people make it happen who maybe don't even have ADHD.
Yeah. And tell us a bit about how you got started with A Very Important Meeting, because that's how you and I met in the first place back in 2021, I want to say, Jan or Feb.
So it was a really beautiful moment during COVID where I was in self-pity city, which I think a lot of us were. And I had some other things going on in life that made it an even worse time for me. And I wallowed. And then I was like, okay, can I use this to help anyone else? I don't even know. Like, I literally probably was just like face down on the floor. And I was like, please use your life force for some kind of good right now. And I said, nobody's writing. Everyone's focus is all over the place trying to figure out if we should be spraying Windex on our vegetables as we come in from the grocery store, and everyone is alone. So I said, let's create something where we get together online. We have a 10-minute meditation to calm you and focus you. We all write together. We say hi at the end, and then I'll see you tomorrow. And so that is how A Very Important Meeting started. We now are 7 days a week, and we have people who've been there for 5 years now, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a lovely community. Yes,
Thank you.
I remember some of your regulars that really have. I don't know that I've asked you this before, but how did you get into mindfulness and meditation? And when did you make the connection between mindfulness and the practice of writing?
Well, I don't know where my generalized anxiety disorder stops and my ADHD begins. I think they are commingled within me, but I had terrible anxiety when I was young. And now I currently have managed anxiety that comes and goes. And so I think just looking for answers of why is it so hard for me to just be? How can I calm myself? And so probably when I was about my early 20s, just kind of finding meditation, looking for answers. I didn't even know to label it anxiety, and it's funny because my novel is based on two characters that both have terrible anxiety. The word anxiety does not show up in the novel once. They just are this mess of symptoms that I can look back and see the pattern, but they have no idea. Life just feels terrible. And that to me was like, that was one of the answers that I was looking for.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Do you ever have like a cat hair on the tip of your nose? That's happening to me right now. Okay,
Really?
I think I got it. I have like a cat hair.
That can happen to me very easily because cats are coming and going in front of this microphone.
Okay. I think I got it.
I am so grateful that you speak about this and that you describe it in the novel, but the word anxiety is not used because it's true. We can experience the symptoms and not really have any understanding of what it is that we're going through.
Yeah, I call it emotional hallucinations. People say like, oh, you're anxious about what? Like, good question. Yeah. It's just the feeling of like if someone said, sit down, I have something terrible to tell you. Like, and cut to like what your stomach would feel like in that moment. That's the feeling I used to wake up with most mornings before I got on medication.
Wow.
Awful.
Well, if we travel back in time, though, to your childhood in particular, is there a memory that still makes you smile? Something that lights you up when you think about it?
Yeah, a lot of memories. Anything in particular about writing? About
anything?
Oh God, my dad was just like the silliest person in the world. So, his silliness was always so appreciated and so fun. And yeah, just the general family goofballness, and that feeling of closeness with family.
That sounds gorgeous. At which point in your life did you realize that you wanted to become a writer? Was this something that was innate? Were you writing as a kid?
Yeah, I told my best friends at the bus stop when I was 10 years old that I wanted to be a writer. And my best friend said, do you have any idea how hard that is? And we're still friends. So whenever I'm complaining, I'm like, you warned me 30 years ago. You told me, don't do it.
Are you guys still close? Oh, that's awesome. And what do you think this stemmed from? Was there an image of writers in your life? Is it TV? Did you know a writer growing up?
I mean, I loved to read. I loved Shel Silverstein. I loved R.L. Stine. I did not read any of the girly stuff. The Little House on the Prairie, I didn't read. Babysitter's Club, no. I was like, give me Fear Street, give me Christopher Pike. I don't really know why. I don't read horror now. It's so funny. And so I'm best friends with two sisters. Their grandmother was a really successful romance novelist who didn't start until her 60s, Connie Mason, and she was on 48 Hours. Like, she was very successful. So to see an actual person be like, I am a writer, I mean, that's huge. I think Edward P. Jones, I have a quote from him in my book about how he's like, I didn't know any writers growing up, So if you just think these books come from like a writer, but I'm like, oh, that lady making potato salad over there, she writes books. She's a writer. So I think that's still something I try to bring to my work as a like public writer is like this, like, no, I still just like got spinach in my teeth. And like, I'm just a person going through the world.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. I feel like I don't know a single person who's a writer. I mean, from when I was little, mostly doctors, scientists, a lot of those around. I mean, my parents were friends with a Nobel Prize winner in physics who did write a book, but I mean,
that's impressive.
It was about physics stuff.
Yeah.
Not something I could relate to. As you know, the aim with the Mettā Interview is to shine a light on our multifaceted selves. And so that's why I'm going to ask you this following question. And I understand how you became a writer, but what would you say was an early experience that got you to becoming a writing coach or also a software developer?
So, the thing that made me a writer, I remember being, I had all these big feelings and I would write them down and feel so much better. And that feeling kind of was echoed in the software in college, I took personal software classes. It was, long story short, they were like an elective that was convenient. And I took 3 semesters of Excel classes. So I knew, our teacher told us, more than 99% of people about Excel. My final project was a business plan that was 200 pages when it was printed in Excel. Wow. So, and I, not knowing I was undiagnosed with ADHD, the joke I made at the time was, Excel is the brain I wasn't born with. Just like, oh my God, it has things stay in place. It can do math. It has insights. That is not my brain. And so then I started taking writing seriously after college. And I was like, hey, how is everyone organizing this? Like, do you have like a list of all your story ideas? Where are you keeping track of your submissions? How are you managing this or this? And everyone was like, ooh, it's like a rat's nest. I have no idea. Like, everyone seems stressed out about their writing life and like how it's going and managing it. And so I made it for myself as a spreadsheet 10 years ago in 2015, and then started kind of like selling it as a, just like a $20 spreadsheet setup. Then we did a Google add-on and got a little more automated. That's when I brought on a developer. And then I was like, okay, I really think this could be a piece of software. Not only to organize the writing life, but to encourage you. More and more, I feel like the emotional atmosphere in which you're operating is so essential. And I think that is the beauty of coaching, is to say the mentality and the emotions come first, then the work. Like, if I'm super stressed out or anxious, I do not just sit down and write. I will go for a jog first. I'll rearrange my schedule so I can get my head right first, and then I will be creative. And sometimes, being creative and trying to produce a chapter of my book is different from sitting down and journaling. Journaling might be the thing that gets me to the place.
Yeah.
So as far as coaching, when I was 26, I joined Peace Corps, and I realized when we first got there, you have a 3-month training, and we did all this training in adult education. And I was like, oh my gosh, no matter what sector you're working in, you're here as a teacher. And so my job was to be a teacher. Now, did people always want to learn the thing I had to teach? No. We wanted to sit around and watch telenovelas and, and do their work. And so in learning adult education, I realized that I had this teacher's heart. I started a podcast in Peace Corps to teach the indigenous language because there was nothing in English to learn the indigenous language if you wanted to get started before you came down. It was 2008.
Wow.
Like, what? And so that was really, really fun. I think when you're a writer, you're always saying, okay, what is the way in which I will support myself as a creative? Is it freelance writing? Is it coaching? Is it day job? There's all these different kinds of things you could do. And I just really love and I feel have a gift for coaching.
How many years have you been coaching writers now?
I consider the beginning of my coaching program 2018. That's when my book came out. And then I remember I took a course on like how to become a coach, paid $2,000 for someone to teach me how to become a coach. And like, I remember her telling me to charge like $2,000. I was like, oh, no one would ever pay that, and now I have this 6-month program that's way more robust. And just, I help people honor the little girl who dreamed of being a writer. And the fact that I didn't think that was a valuable service just shows like how limited I was back then. And so I've had to get coaching in my own life and business world and writing as well in order to move forward with that. And so now I have this beautiful business that people are so grateful that it can be brought out of them and they can surprise themselves. I have someone who signed up for her 3rd iteration with me. And I got a first draft from her and I was like, do you know how much your writing has improved? And she's like, oh my gosh, I look at my old stuff and it's like terrible. And it's sacred work and I love it.
I find that because I'm a regular reader of your newsletter, which I highly recommend everyone sign up to because it's excellent.
Thank you.
You're such a champion for the people who work with you. Is this something that comes out naturally in you, or have you been championed in the past yourself?
Yeah, I think I do. I love to help people feel better. And I think as someone who has felt bad a lot, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, that's like what you do. We all, I had a friend who got really sick with TB and she became a nurse, and we all try to fill the gap, I think, that we feel in our own life in some way. And I was like, I think from having such discomfort, I know how to comfort. And seeing in other people so much of the struggle that I went through of the imposter syndrome, the who am I, no one would care about this, and knowing what's on the other side of just a lot of work and dedication. I love being that hand reaching out. My book was called Welcome to the Writer's Life. And like, I am the human welcome mat of being a writer. And yeah, I love that role. And I think seeing what roles we all play, I think I am a wonderful writer because I've earned that. I've put the work in, and it's so nice as someone who felt lazy when they were little to be like, I have done the work. My journals are 60 pounds. I have written 60 pounds worth of journals, right? Like I've put in the reps. And I also have this power that I've worked on to help other people find the way to put their own work in.
That's very precious.
I love it. So many beautiful moments, it's really in such a dehumanizing, algorithmic, capitalistic world. We all, I participate in capitalism. I like my nice stuff. I like things I do, but seems like it's gone a touch too far over here in the US. But like, it's such a human space that we're in when someone is, for example, laying out a traumatizing childhood memory and reading that to 10 people they only met a few weeks ago, and they've done their best to turn it into something beautiful. we're there to catch someone else's huge risks and their vulnerability. And yeah, in a time when I don't go to church and a lot of people don't go to church, that is my church.
It's fascinating you should say that, because I've discovered the work of, I don't know if you're familiar, Maureen Murdoch. Mm-mm. She wrote a book called The Heroine's Journey. She was a student of Joseph Campbell.
I've heard of that, yeah.
And she has another book out that I've forgot the name of, but it's about myth and memoir. And I find that there's a real connection to personal stories. It can become a very heart opening experience to write about your own story, your own difficulties, your challenges, your trauma, your wins, your all of the good and the bad. And then there's a real sort of heart opening moment around that, because I think we recognize just how universal those are. And despite the fact that each of our stories is completely unique, we're still linked to each other, right?
It's such a beautiful gift and mystery, and storytelling is such an ancient, incredible practice. And it's just, I think, it's like music or dance. It's just an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, I'd love to find out, is there a special skill, a superpower, something that we haven't touched on that people don't know about and that you can share with us?
That I have?
Yeah.
Or that they have?
That you have.
More and more lately, I have been acknowledging and enjoying the gift of humor. And how, I had a boss once and he was not funny, but he just kept trying. And he just did not. And so know your gifts. I'm not out here trying to, be a ballerina. So it just made me be like, oh, some people are not funny. And I kind of take that for granted that I'm funny, which I totally got from my dad. And using humor, it's just really funny because my writing is either on the one end of the spectrum of sad girl diaries, queen of the sad girls, or completely ridiculous toilet humor, funny goofball. I just bought a set of nunchucks for a skit that I can't wait to do. And I'm every night practicing my nunchucks a little bit and just laughing and laughing. And my novel is so dark and so funny. And I actually thought about it today with the dress that I have on, which is I love flowers against a dark background. And to me, that is so representative of what I'm going to be talking about today, writing your pain and creating beauty out of darkness. And so I'm taking a stand-up comedy class. I've taken sketch writing classes, which is where the Trauma Kitchen skit came out of. I wrote that on the subway, I did camera shots and everything. I was very professional. And since moving to New York a year ago, I feel like I have just said, I don't want to put labels on myself as an artist. And it's almost like if you think about just a blob of goo, if you will, just my self-image.
Yeah.
Just kidding. If you take a blob of goo and it's in a mold, right? It's going to mold to that. And you say, I'm a writer. And then you're going to be like, well, I can't do a skit. I can't really get serious and buy props and get a videographer to do a skit. I'm a writer. And instead, I've just kind of taken those molds off and I'm letting the blob flow in whatever shape it wants to flow in. So I'm I feel like taking something really seriously that is a nunchuck skit. So I need to buy my nunchucks. And it reminds me of when I was little with my best friends. And we would take everything to the nth degree. We found a shopping cart in the woods and we decorated it. And that was our ride. And we would take turns riding in it. Our parents were obviously so humiliated. We did not care. We're this is the Island Posse cart. Please move to the side. Coming through. We did a skit at a choreography, costumes. We were just so into stuff. And we didn't say are we allowed to get really into Mario Paint, which was no one played this game. Did you play Mario Paint?
No, but it sounds so funny.
No one played Mario Paint, and I don't understand why not. It's an art game. You can compose music. Each of the characters made a different sound.
Wow.
You can make animations. I mean, this was 1992. So we would make music, we'd make animations and put the music to it, and we would tape it on VHS tapes and show it to our parents when they got home from work in the summers. Because we were obviously just like latchkey kids. We're like, what should we do? And so I think my superpower right now is just being like, I am going to be a performer, a writer, a whatever, a comedian. Am I a comedian? Am I a performer? Am I a writer? Like, I'm going to let my creativity be like completely amorphous and go in the direction that it wants me to go in.
That's so cool. And I'm so happy that you're letting yourself do that. So because you've mentioned it already and our audience does not know about the trauma class that you're teaching, can you tell us a bit about the skit that you did and about the webinar that you're offering?
So I had this idea, and I love this. This is important to be someone who, instead of just being like, that'd be funny, to be someone who's like, that would be funny. I'm opening up my phone's notes right now, and I'm going to let myself obsess about this. So I'm on the subway, and I'm like, oh, it'd be so funny, like a cooking show, but you're making essays out of trauma you already have lying around the house. And that was just like, that was the line that came to me first. Like, all this trauma lying around the house. And so I pictured myself, in an apron. I get out my phone. I start taking it really seriously. I think taking your ideas really seriously, not as like, this is serious, obviously, but being like, this is a gift that just came to me from my brain. And I'm at least gonna capture it, and I can decide later, yes, I want to do that. Or was that just like, oh, that was a really fun, silly thing to write for 15 minutes and now I'm done.
Sure.
And so I wrote, the script is like, welcome, today we're going to make essays out of trauma you already have lying around the house. And I took the process of baking and I made it kind of the process of writing. So for example, when the essay is baking, I test the cake, it's not done yet, and I say, it always takes longer than you think, which is true for writing and true for baking. Maybe I'm not a baker, I am a consumer of baked goods, an avid consumer of baked goods. I made the cake and I iced it, and then I wrote on the top it says in icing, enjoy my suffering. And then I fed it to a friend, and she says, your trauma is delicious.
Oh my God, it was so funny. Whose kitchen did you make this in?
That is my friend Ryan Cunningham. She's someone I met in New York. She is a producer, and I mean, she has Emmys.
I mean,
Crazy.
Honestly, it's an excellent. We'll link to it so everyone can see it.
Yeah, she's a producer and director. And I think that is the thing about getting around other people that you can ping pong ideas off of. I mean, I had another friend who I told her about that skit, and she's my business friend. She's my fellow We Own Businesses friend. And she's like, yeah, is that really going to move the needle? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to do it because I'm not just a business person. I'm going to do it because I'm also an artist. And if I am successful in business, it will be because I bring my full artist self to the business.
Yeah. I think that's going to resonate with so many people. And I am obviously going to throw you flowers. I think you have a wonderful, completely unique sense of humor. And to have that come, because I read it in your newsletter on a very regular basis. And I've seen it in the way that you've developed your social media persona over the last few years, but this is another level. This is a level where there's an echo of the depth, right, that you offer in the work that you do, and that echo for me, it felt very resonant in a way that feels also incredibly shareable, in a way that sometimes not all of our social media efforts can feel so shareable for someone who, right? Because if you're not a writer, or if your friends are not writers, why would I repost it? But then when you create something that feels, again, so human, right? It feels like it feels like the piece has its own wind to it, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's, humor is a tool in the same way that storytelling is a tool. And I think that to have that tool, it's like if someone gave you a computer and just like set it down and you're like, oh, I don't use that computer for anything. Like, well, it's a computer. Like, you should use it, you know? That's like, I have this innate sense of humor, and there are so many things I'm terrible at. Like, if you just email me, I'll send you a full list of more than 100 things I'm terrible at. The one thing I'm really good at is making people laugh, and which has gotten me in trouble also. Not appropriate sometimes. And so saying, I want people to feel better. I want people to feel more comfortable. I want people to feel fully connected to the universe in a world that wants you to sit in a box for 40 hours a week and wants you then to go home and sit in front of another box or screen for 5 hours and wants you to do it again the next day. This like dehumanizing and this world that just wants to give you the frozen dinner version of reality. I want people to be more connected with the like awe-inspiring beauty and joy of like, what even the universe? Have you seen it? Like, what is going on? We have no idea. That sense of awe and all of us just being like, we're all just on this planet together for a bit. Like, what should we do with our one wild and precious life? Eat chicken wings? Maybe, but make them good chicken wings. And so to get someone there, if I can pull them in with, you know, a ridiculous skit where I am throwing batter on my face so it looks like blood splatter, I mean, let's do it. Why not? Like I let myself write a story. It's a satire. And I literally wondered, do I want my name on this for the rest of my life? And it turned out to be the highest, the most read piece on the Belladonna for that year. So I was not the only one thinking about it.
Nice. Very validating. Now, as you know, and you and I have talked about this, I wanted the Mettā Interview to be an onboarding platform for the people who are going to be contributing masterclasses, workshops, and other kind of offering gatherings, particularly for those who are going to come meet me in Geneva or in other places around Europe. Who knows, maybe in the US one day.
Meet me in Geneva. I'm there.
I've already invited you a bunch of times, waiting for you whenever you want. And so I thought that it'd be interesting for us to meet around a question that feels alive for you. And everyone has a completely different take on what that question is, and it can touch on our life, it can touch on our work. And so we exchanged earlier, and I'm going to read back to you the question you offered me, and let's see if that still feels so resonant. So the question you came up with was, what are we seeking when we seek a creative life? Does that still feel like the alive, juicy question for you?
Yes, the alive, juicy question. Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me about how you came to that and what it means for you.
Well, you know, my business friend, suggested that maybe I would make more money if I just stopped writing and was only a business coach, which is true. And I said, but I'm a writer. And she said, yeah, but at what cost? And that question echoed for a long time and is still echoing. At what cost? And so there's got to be a benefit to the cost. I think at what cost is a good question, but then also the counterbalance of for what gain. And so really thinking about, why would I not give up writing even if it meant making more money and just being a writing coach, which like, to me, that's so funny to be like, oh, I'm going to encourage people to do this thing that I stopped doing.
Yeah, that just does not feel very comfortable.
You know, and I had another business friend say, you know, hey, you are launching a coaching program, you're launching a software, and you're writing a novel. Do you really need the novel? And I just laughed so hard. And I was like, oh, you're not my writer friend. And that's what's so nice about having writing community, right? Because your writing community gets it. And I do feel like, listen, life evolved storytellers into existence. There is a reason, there is a role, and I was given that role. And sometimes I say, why am I not head of marketing at XYZ company with a, ski chalet? Could I have made that choice? And what would that choice, at what cost would I have been that person? So I think what it would have cost me, which is what I'm seeking with a creative life, is the ability to live in the truth of who I am, what I think life truly is, and in a self-created and naturally informed structure to my days, weeks, and years. So this was something that I saw in Paraguay when I was living there. You know, I said, "Oh, are you coming into work today?" She goes, "No, I have too much laundry to do." And I was like, "What? You can't knock it. What? No, work comes before life. Don't you know that?" Right? And then that really made me question, like, do I think that? And in living in Seattle for 10 years, there was one week where, you know, the summer is like so precious, like sunshine. And you're like, sunshine, it's precious. And I was in the building of my job, and a freelance graphic designer came in for a meeting with us. And then I literally remember seeing him walk out into the sunshine, and I wasn't allowed to leave the building. My work could have been done. I didn't have any deadlines. It could have been done anytime over the next week. The weekend was going to be rainy. But I couldn't say, well, with all these factors, I'm going to decide to do my work on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to enjoy the sun that is happening on Wednesday and Thursday. Right? Just the rhythm of like working less in the summer and more in the winter, if that's the environment you're in. Living in New York now, I'm like, I will buckle down and I will just like do nothing but work in the winter. And then like, yeah, I want to take it a little easier in the summer. I want to go to Seattle, which I did for 3 weeks. And that you know, there was this meme going around a while ago where people said, you know, there would like be a beautiful picture of nature, and then humans saw this and invented Microsoft Teams. Humans saw this and invented cubicles. And I'm like, yes. And which humans? And who does it benefit if I say, well, this is just life? And that is why I love to post. I'm always posting pictures from NASA to be like, this is what we're doing. This is where we are. And then I'm like, oh, new Starbucks drink. Da, da, da. So like I'm constantly being taken to the level of surface and what is my bank balance and what's on my checklist and my notifications. I have to struggle so hard not to live on that level. You know, my dad was killed in an accident when I was 17. And I came home and there were his shoes and his clothes, and he was no longer in existence. And then I lived in South America for 2 years, and I remember looking up at the stars and looking for the stars I knew and realizing I wasn't going to be seeing them because this is what's on the other side. And my body literally swooned. And I described that as the moment that the word up left my body. Like, no, it's out, right? It's out there. It's not up. There's no up and down. We're on a circle, right? We're all standing. You are standing at a different angle. You're sitting at a different angle than me over in Europe.
Yeah.
You're not over there. You're like around the bend of the earth. I wish with all my might that I could truly live my life deep, deep, deep in that knowledge. I do not. I care how many likes I get on Instagram posts. I'm like, I care about all this stupid stuff. I'm just a little human with this little 3-pound brain. But for me, the work is in just continuing to come back like a meditation of, is this a decision I would make truly informed about the depth of what we're really doing here? And that to me is what art does, is what dance does, is what writing does. Of just like, oh, you feel it. You feel this gratitude that someone is coming from a place of not posturing, not like a walking LinkedIn profile, you know, great to connect, you know, it's like, oh God, but really being human, which is a thing we don't even understand.
Yeah. It all resonates with me so strongly. And the first time you and I talked about this, two things came to me, sort of to my consciousness. I thought of a good friend of mine who's a banker and who really wants to write. And I thought that I could invite her on the podcast and have the reverse conversation. What are we seeking when we are not letting ourselves seek the creative life? But then again, I also have my own answers as to what it was like when I stopped seeking any kind of creative life. And I came out of that with some solidified trauma in the form of rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune disease and assorted other nuggets of joy. And so I'm really interested in the fact that you're able to make this a dance, right? And to have that connection to the greater desire of this connection to creative life and freedom and being the master of your days and then coming back to the level where everyone is and like what you described as a dance.
Yeah.
When you said at what cost, I was wondering what were your expectations at 20 versus at 30? Because was it always the same? Or do you find that your own relationship with what the creative life is has morphed over the years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, totally. Honestly, I didn't think that I would be bearing the brunt of my own economic, I thought I'm actually working on a piece right now about that when my mom apologized for me for telling me the right man will come along.
Wow.
And I'm 43 and I'm single, and I've broken people's hearts. My heart's been broken. I just have never landed on marriage. And so I thought, like, of course I'm going to be married to some guy and he'll have a career and I'll have a little sidecar, little like financial sidecar career. And it's me. And so to say, okay, and I want to bring into my life enough money to experience the awe of the world. I'm not after, I thought I would be, I'm going to live in a tiny house outside of Portland and just do my writing. I want a big life, I want a lot of really big experiences. And so to accept that about myself and to say, I am a businesswoman, and I think that if I bring a lot of value to the world, I can support myself and have this awe-inspiring life that I want to have. I have been heads down for a long time on the software, on the novel. And I'm fully ready to like accept, which is hard, as like I'm the broke girl, ADHD, kind of vibe, to be like, no, I'm moving beyond that, and I'm ready to stand in that this work can bring me back as much as I've brought to it. I've had 2 essays go viral to more than 2 million readers. Yeah. And I was paid $40 for the first one and $200 for the second one.
Yikes.
And so standing in that and saying, I have brought a lot to the world and I'm ready to receive from the world as well, and to continue to do a really wonderful service in creating more people who are fully connected to their gifts and expressing those gifts and creating more beauty. Oh, we should have called it the Beauty Machine. That sounds like a beauty brand.
Yeah, that does, but that sounds great too. I so appreciate what you're mentioning, because I think that some of the people who are going to be listening to us do not know what it's like to be pitching to get your essay published or opinion piece, or to write for one of the major newspapers online, or to have a byline. It's true that sometimes, or oftentimes, not only is it very difficult, the craft is very specific, there's a lot of competition, but it really doesn't pay well. How did you make do as you started your career with the financial layout that was coming up for your future?
Like the year that I wrote my book, I lived in a 150 square foot apartment in Seattle. I worked from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I made like $20,000 that year. And I lived in this tiny apartment, and I was like, I will do this. And I have this great picture of me in that apartment jumping with this like fur coat on and sunglasses and all dressed up. And I was like, this is the vibe that I will do this to set up this life Yeah, it's so hard. Like I'm old enough to where now, like I go to this travel writers conference and I know a bunch of people who have made careers as a travel writer, and some people do today. And for example, the New York Times has been paying $1 a word, but since the 90s. So the $1 a word I make now is not the $1 a word that it was in the 90s.
Wow.
And I was willing to do, a tech company needs a website. I mean, I was doing all this other work that was paying so much more. And then when AI came out, I really was down for like 3 days. I had to like hold a baby and eat a burrito and just like do all the things. Yeah. And so then I was journaling and I was like, okay, what can't AI do? And I said live events, community, and personal essays. And so that is what my career is based on now. And I will say I am so much more suited to coaching and personal essays than I am to like, this tech company needs a website.
Yeah.
So in a way, it nudged me in a great way. And it can pretend to write a personal essay, but in a way, the human is becoming so much more valuable.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, you can choose to wrap up your finances in your writing. You can choose to not wrap your finances up in your writing. There was a survey of freelance writers, and it actually found that like half the people were making as much or more. So it's very difficult. I was teaching a course on how to be a freelance writer, how to set up the business and everything. And then because when AI came out, I no longer was certain that would be a good career to go into. I stopped teaching that because I'm not going to teach something where I'm like, maybe we don't know what's going to happen with AI. I'm not charging people $5,000 for we don't know, we'll see.
Sure.
So then I changed to, okay, I'm going to teach people how to write personal essays, which, it's not for the money.
Yeah.
I have one coaching student who wrote a 9,000 word essay. She just read it out loud to me at our last session. She's not going to publish it. She just needed to get this story out. And it's a beautiful story. It's like, and it's honestly been such an honor to be part of that process. To be reminded that like, this has nothing to do with a byline. This is just the pure thing. Like, it's almost like a singer and you're just like alone on a desert island and you're just singing to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just that nugget of beauty that is the core of what this art form is, that has nothing to do with anyone else. So to be witness to that and to help her with that has just been such an honor. She could sell that essay for a few $100, right? But that few $100 does not nearly touch the service of it to other people if she were to publish it, or the experience and joy of writing it herself.
It's funny because as I'm thinking that, I remember when I was a teenager, I was a singer and one of my really good friends was a singer, and she's got the most natural talent ever. I worked really hard to make my voice do the things that I wanted it to do. But she just had this natural, free-flowing sound. And she moved to Ireland, which is what she was from, and she was going to study there, and she stopped singing, and I was horrified. I was horrified because in my mind, how could she deprive the world of her talent? I was so in love with her voice. It took me a bunch of years to accept that it's not because you have the gift or that you're able to, that it needs to be your calling, or that it needs to be something that you share with the world in that way.
I am jealous. It's like my friend who lives in Korea and doesn't like Korean food. I'm like, what? Like, I love to sing and I'm terrible. But I love to just belt out in the car. I love to sing by myself. It doesn't have to be received to be of value.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But that said, as you tell me the story of this coaching client of yours, I really can't wait for the day that she changes her mind and that I can read it. I love reading personal essays. Working in the memoir genre at the moment, I'm reading a lot of memoirs and personal essays, and I have to say it's a lot of joy. I love it. Yeah.
it's something I could talk about for the rest of my life for sure. So that's how I know I'm in the right place there.
Yeah, you certainly are. And so when we think back at your question, what are we seeking when we seek a creative life? How would you answer it in this moment? What are you seeking when you seek a creative life?
I think that real connection, that human intimacy beyond the labels or the posturing or being out in the world as the people we wish we were, but instead meeting another human as you truly are, and practicing this gift and this alchemy of being able to take raw materials that are sometimes devastating and turn them into beauty.
How does it feel when you answer your own question?
It feels good. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. That's nice. It's funny because people who know me mostly from Instagram, if I see them in real life, they're like, congratulations on everything. I'm like, all the crying? Like what? Because I'm still dealing with,
Of course.
the, keeping the business afloat and the this and the taxes and the, it's so much. It kind of reminds me of a trip. I'm trying to organize a trip to Japan right now to interview someone. And I'm like, how am I going to make this happen? Oh my God, how am I going to get this time off? And I know every trip I've taken in my life, whatever you did to make it happen falls away. You absolutely forget, like, oh, I had to reschedule this and I had to pay for that. You forget. All you remember is those moments that make you feel like, yes, I lived this life. I was given a life and I lived it as a verb.
Yeah. That sounds beautiful. I love how you bridge that to travel, because I remember from previous conversations that travel was always a source of great inspiration and heart opening for you.
Yeah.
And when I hear you talk about the big life you want to have, the big adventures, what I'm hearing or what I'm seeing in my head is Paulette on an airplane somehow or a boat. Tell me if I get this wrong.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel this sense of, because of internalized misogyny and ageism, I feel like I gotta make this, I have to travel now. I'm 43. I'm on death's door, right? I'm on death's door as a young person or someone who can pass for a young person. Going through the world as a 50-year-old, right? Oh my gosh. I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And I am, because of Julia Louis-Dreyfus's podcast, Wiser Than Me, I am so in love with older women. And I'm trying to say, gosh, you are setting yourself up. It's right now, it feels like I'm investing so much in setting something up for the future, where it's like, okay, you're doing the software and you're doing the novel. I'm making myself pretty time poor right now and energy poor, maybe. Like a lot of my energy and time are going into the business, setting up the coaching, making the software, so that in the future, like I want to be in Iceland seeing, reindeer. Are there reindeer in Iceland? And
I'm not sure. I've not
seeing
seen
the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want those big adventures. And the risk of saying I'm going to set myself up now so that I can free myself later is really scary for me, because I think in a way I have a hard time believing in the future. And I've always just been like a very now person, which is ADHD as well. We want that instant gratification. Like the marshmallow test, we would have eaten the marshmallow before they even got done with the instructions. We're like,
Sure.
Sorry, I ate it.
Yeah. It's interesting, actually, because knowing that about you and the way that you're setting yourself up, it feels like you're working exactly against your natural tendencies.
Yeah. In a way, I absolutely am. Yes. And there's no map. It's not like medical school where you're like, at the end of this, you're going to be a doctor. With a startup, you're like, at the end of this, you're going to find out if you wasted your time or not. But, I love working on the Writers Mission Control Center. I love the puzzle. I really enjoy the work. And I have invested a lot financially in the software, and I hope it pays off. And we all have to choose where to place our bets. And I've bet on myself. I will say that. And that feels really good and really scary. I'm
so happy that this is where you landed, because it feels so right when you say it. As you can see, my body language reaction was like, yay! I so heartfully support this, that you are betting on yourself.
Thank you.
I feel like perhaps when I think about your question, what are we seeking when we seek a creative life?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we seek to lead by example, if we seek to mirror the examples that have existed for us. Because when I hear you talk about this and say that you're betting on yourself, it charges me up. It feels like it wants to make me bet on myself. And I wonder, and I hope actually that other people are going to feel charged the same way. And this sense of, oh, I too could bet on myself, regardless of what it is that they want in life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about what does it mean to take big bets and lose? And not that I want to put that in the universe, but is it better? First of all, you don't know the outcome, right? You still were a person who took the chance. And that can never be taken away from you. Mm-hmm. And if you lose, oh God, I'm going into the Daring Greatly speech now.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, if I lose, I will have lost really going for it.
Yeah.
And I think I can live with that.
Well, without going too negative, and again, we can't see into the future, I remember interviewing this wonderful woman called Jenny Sauer Klein about 3 years ago. She was the co-founder of Acro Yoga, which became a very successful, I think at its height, it had over 1 million members. Wow. And she was teaching all around the world and group teaching and yoga, school teaching, and etc. And she exited because she wanted something different for her life. And I remember her telling me about how lost she felt after she exited, and how it felt like it was her choice, right? She was pushed out. But she reminded me of this physics concept, which is that no energy is ever lost. It always transmutes. And so all the energy that you're putting out and all of the things that you do, it may not land exactly where you thought it was going to. But technically, it's never going to be lost. It's always going to be able to channel through something else.
Yeah, I do feel that. I'm like, I know how to land on my feet. I'm scrappy. So no matter what, I can land on my feet. And no matter what, no one can take writing away from me, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I think that feels like it's the right place for us to end this interview. Does that feel right for you as well?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, Paulette. I'm really excited about the conversation. I'm excited about sharing this with our audience. And I'm also excited about the masterclass that you'll be giving us in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to find you and they are not able to check the show notes, where can they find out more about you and what
PaulettePerhach.com.
I will add, you have a very sexy new website. People should really go and check it out. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm really excited about everything that you're doing. And I hope I'll see you again very soon.
Yeah. Thanks to the listeners, too.
Take care.
Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation on the Mettā Interview. If this resonated with you and you haven't subscribed yet, then please do so. You don't want to miss the brilliant minds I will continue to bring on to these conversations. The Mettā Interview is available wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you can also watch the full video conversations on YouTube. You'll find the link in the show notes. Also, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter, The Mettā View. It's the cousin to the Mettā Interview. You'll find it at themettaview.com, and it's Mettā with 2 T's. In that newsletter, I regularly share written reflections and insight that complement these conversations. That's where I approach and work through life with a mindful lens. If you're intrigued as well about the masterclasses that my wonderful, brilliant friends and guests are offering through the Tente, if you're excited and want to know about our events online and in person, about coaching and or working with me one-on-one, visit letrente.com, that's LETRENTE.com, to discover more about our community and our offerings. Now, before I leave you, your engagement helps these conversations reach more people who may benefit from them. So please do me a huge favor. Share this episode with someone who may appreciate it. Leave us a rating, a review. You can even comment on each episode on Spotify, for example. So every little bit of support will help, and it's really lovely to hear from you and to find out what you think about what we're putting out in the world. Until next time, thanks for listening.